so many of you out here tonight. Well, it's good for you to be here. First of all, let me introduce you to my home. This is 1601 Pennsylvania Ave, the Chestnut Saloon. She is a beauty, isn't she? Yeah. Been here since the 1780s. So have I. My name is Samuel. You don't even know my last name. If I even had one. But there you are, and here I am. It's good. It's good. Oh, the play! That's right. You're here for the play. I'm sorry. Well, there really isn't going to be a play here tonight. I mean, how can we stage a drama in this here saloon? No. What you're going to see tonight is just a bit of my memory. Just a bit, mind you. If I showed you everything I knew, we'd be here for another 200 years. You'd be surprised at what I know, too. Like we have a car salesman in the audience. Mr. Mark Muir, are you here? I guess you're here. See that? And I know that there's some senior citizens in the audience here tonight named Sylvia and Sonny. Are you here? After the show, get a good look at them, folks. They just got back from Aruba. Be surprised. Now, row H back there is a really hot one. I know that there's a young girl named Deanne Yakchak who just got engaged. How about a round of applause? I also know that in row H there is a young lady who just entered the 7th month of her first pregnancy. Well, I also know, too, that we're all here for a reason. I hope yours is to learn a little bit more about the White House and the folks that live there and maybe have a little fun with our presidents. They're here, you know, in the darkness. Did you know that George Washington was the only president never to live at the White House? Oh, I guess you knew that one, huh? Well, did you know he rented the Lincoln bedroom once? No, he didn't. I'm just pulling your leg. But he did come into the Chestnut Saloon quite often. He used to sit right over there. Look over there. Now, we've heard many stories about the Puritans and the Pilgrims coming to this country, but did you know that as early as the mid-1600s, Jews also came to this country and were part of its founding, while colonial Jews were persecuted solely because of their religion. Now, one time, George Washington went to Newport, Rhode Island, where he began an exchange of letters with Mr. Moses Warden of the Hebrew congregation.
Sir, permit the children of the stock of Abraham to approach you with the most cordial affection and esteem for your person and merits, and join our fellow citizens in welcoming you to Newport.
While I receive your expressions of affection and esteem, I rejoice in the opportunity of assuring you that I shall always retain a grateful remembrance of the cordial welcome I experienced in my visit to Newport.
With pleasure, we reflect upon those days of difficulty and danger, when the God of Israel shielded your head in the day of battle, and of the beloved Daniel, enabling him to preside over the provinces of the Babylonian Empire, rests and ever will rest upon you, enabling you to discharge the arduous duties as chief magistrate of these states.
All right. If you're sitting there thinking, what in the world are they talking about? Don't feel bad. That's the way they wrote back then. That's the way they talked, too. And if you listen close, there's something to learn.
For the reflection on the days of difficulty and danger which are past, is rendered the more sweet from consciousness that they are succeeded by days of uncommon prosperity and security.
Deprived, as we have hitherto been, of the invaluable rights as free citizens, we now behold a government to which bigotry gives no sanction, to persecution no assistance, but generously affording to all liberties of conscience, deeming everyone, of whatever nation, tongue, or language, equal parts of this great governmental machine.
All possess alike liberty of conscience and immunity of citizenship. It is no longer that toleration is spoken of as if it were by the indulgence of one class of people that another should enjoy their natural inherent rights. For happily, the government of the United States, which gives bigotry no sanction, to persecution no assistance, requires only that they who live under its protection should demean themselves as good citizens.
For all the blessings of civil and religious liberties that we have enjoyed under an equal and benign administration, we desire to send up our thanks to the Ancient of Days, the great preserver of men.
It would be inconsistent with the frankness of my character not to avow that I am pleased with your favorable opinion of my administration.
We beseech that the angel who conducted our forefathers through the wilderness and into the promised land may graciously conduct you through all the difficulties and dangers of this mortal life. And when Joshua, full of days and full of honor, you are gathered to your fathers, may you be admitted into the heavenly paradise to partake of the water and the tree of immortality.
I love that last part. While Moses is pleased as I don't know, this here rum punch. Now Washington himself came and visited him. Well, he thinks Washington's the next best thing since, I don't know, the Boston Tea Party.
May the children of the stock of Abraham, who dwell in this land, continue to merit and enjoy the goodwill of the other inhabitants, while each will sit in safety under his own vine and fig tree, and there shall be none to make him afraid. May the Father of all mercies scatter light and not darkness in our paths.
How are you doing tonight, Josephine?
I'm pretty good.
You're looking good. Do you remember that night that Johnny Adams came in here?
Sure do.
Why, he was holding this letter and he was waving it like a maniac. When I asked him what the letter was about, he began to read it. Now, I knew Abigail. Woo! Everybody knew Mrs. President. But when he started to read it, it was as if she was standing right here in the Chestnut Saloon herself.
I desire you would remember the ladies and be more generous and favorable to them than your ancestors. Do not put such unlimited power in the hands of the husbands. Remember, all men would be tyrants if they could. And if particular care and attention is not paid to the ladies, we are determined to foment a rebellion and will not hold ourselves bound by any laws in which we have no voice or representation.
Listen to her. She sounds like she's speaking for women of the 21st century, doesn't she? All she needs, a couple of listeners.
As I was saying, that your sex are naturally tyrannical, in truth so thoroughly established as to admit no dispute. Woo! Keep going! But such of you in wish to be happy so willingly give up the harsh title of master.
Master? No man is my master, babe. No man.
No man is ever going to be my master. For the more tender and endearing one of friend.
I would call them business associate before I'd call them a friend.
Yeah.
Really, because
Why then not put it out of the power of the vicious and the lawless who use us with cruelty, indignity, with impunity, That's right, you go. Men of sense in all ages abhor these customs which treat us as the vassals of your sex.
vassals? We are not vassals of anyone's sex.
And it's right, girl! Regard us then as beings placed by Providence under your protection, and in imitation of the Supreme Being, use that power only for our happiness.
Guess someone left a little tip on the bar. Yeah. Some of the things a little dusty. Did you ever have one of these? Come on now, man. You do it again. Just one more for good luck. You won't see one of these on. Oh no, come on. I think I broke it. There she goes. Well, this here fellow reminds me of James Madison, 4th President of the United States, because he was, just like little Uncle Sam, a little guy. His friends said he was no bigger than half a piece of soap. His enemies called him a little pygmy. His wife always referred to him as my darling little husband. He was sickly, he was shy, he was nervous, and at his most, he only weighed 100 pounds. But he was quite a man. He graduated from Princeton in only 2 years, and he was the only one smart enough to take notes during the writing of the Constitution. His is the only record of the process that we have. But we're not here to talk about him. We're here to talk about his wife, Dolly Payne Tyler. Now, she was not afraid to come into the Chestnut Saloon. Why, she would come right in here and sit down with her emeralds and her ostrich feather hat. I always liked Dolly. What's even more important, though, is what she did for our country on August 23rd, 1814. You might have forgotten, but we were at war, once again, with the British. This time, they were headed straight for Washington, and nothing was going to stop them. But I'm getting carried away. Let Dolly tell you the story.
Dear sister, my husband left me yesterday morning to join General Wyndham. He inquired, rather anxiously, whether I had the courage or firmness to remain in the President's house until his return on the morrow, or a succeeding day. And on my assurance that I had no fear but for him and the success of our army, he left, beseeching me to take care of myself and of the cabinet papers, public and private. I have since received 2 dispatches from him, written with a pencil. The last is alarming, because it requires that I be ready at a moment's warning to enter my carriage and leave the city, that the enemy seems stronger than had first been reported, and it might happen they would reach the city with the intention of destroying it. I am accordingly ready. I have placed as many cabinet papers into trunks as to fill 1 carriage, but our private property must be sacrificed, as it is impossible to procure wagons for its transportation. I am determined not to go myself until I see Mr. Madison safe. as I hear of much hostility towards him. Disaffection stalks around us. My friends and acquaintances are all gone, even Colonel C with his 100, who were stationed as a guard at this enclosure.
Oh, do not worry, Madame Madison. I am ready for them. They will never get into this White House home of our president. I will make sure of it.
French John, a faithful servant, with his usual activity and resolution, has offered to spike the cannon at the gate and light a train of powder, which would blow up the British should they enter this house. To the last proposition I positively object, without being able to make him understand why all advantages in war must not be taken.
Yes, Madame Madison, I suppose you are right. Though I do not agree, nor do I fully understand.
Wednesday morning, 3 o'clock. Since sunrise, I have been turning my spyglass in every direction, watching with unwearied anxiety for the approach of my dear husband and his friends. But alas, I can descry only groups of military, wandering in all directions, as if there were a lack of arms or a spirit to fight for their own fireside. 3 o'clock. Would you believe it, dear sister? We've had a battle or skirmish near Blandensburg, and here I am still within sound of the cannon. Mr. Madison comes not. May God protect us.
Mrs. Madison, please hurry. The British are close and they will not be stopped.
We must leave now or else we'll all be killed. I will get you a wagon. Please, hurry!
2 messengers, covered with dust, come bid me fly, but here I mean to wait for him. At this late hour a wagon has been procured, and I have filled it with all valuable plate and political articles belonging to this house. Whether they will reach their destination, the Bank of Maryland, or fall in the hands of British soldiery, events must determine.
Mrs. Madison, please, you must go now. Tomorrow will not be if we do not. I do not care about those things. You must come now, please.
Our kind friend, Mr. Carroll, has come to hasten my departure, and is in a very bad humor with me, because I insist on waiting until the large portrait of General Washington is secured, and it requires to be unscrewed from the wall. This process has proved much too tedious for these perilous moments, so I have ordered the frame to be broken and the canvas taken out. It is done, and this precious portrait is to be placed in the hands of 2 gentlemen from New York for safekeeping. And now, dear sister, I must leave this house, or the retreating army will make me a prisoner in it by filling up the road I am directed to take. Where I shall be tomorrow, or when I shall again write to you, I cannot tell.
Portrait of Washington, hanging in the Smithsonian today. But seeing Dolly in trouble always gets me a little parched. How about you, Josephine?
Yes.
Let's see what we have here. Swan Gin, bottled by Broad Street Distilleries. I don't know about that one. Black-eyed punch. Do not drink while smoking or near open flame. Pass on that one. Swan Beach frozen slop. Go on, pretend you like it. We We know it stinks. Here's another local one, CRABTOWN Creek, Squan Swill. For the dignified man who deserves only the finest in beverages, bottled by Glimmer Glass Bottling Company. Harvey's Bristol Cream. Hair remover and tonic water. I'm not going anywhere near that one. Now, this one you can see from out there, I believe. Squan River Brewery's finest malt ale. It's called Thud. The sound people make after drinking our brew. I want to stick with just a good old-fashioned Chestnut Saloon whiskey. What do you say, Josephine?
Sounds good.
Yeah. There you go. Here's the Dolly Madison. Well, let's move on. Where's my coonskin cap?
It's over here.
All right, thank you, man. On January 30th, 1835, President Andrew Jackson was attending a congressional funeral at the Capitol building. Afterward, he was chatting with the senator when all of a sudden, a Mr. Richard Lawrence, just an unemployed house painter, approached him. And here's what happened.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Look out, he's got a gun. You've been shot.
Andrew Jackson is the only president who killed another man in a duel. He is the only president who was taken prisoner of war. And now he becomes the first president to be victim, and I guess you could say victor, in the first ever presidential assassination attempt. There it is, and there he is, Andrew Jackson. Tyler, 10th President of the United States, was a musician. That is to say, he enjoyed playing the violin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, he enjoyed other things as well.
Mary, 20.
Robert, 19.
John Jr., 16.
Letitia, 13.
Elizabeth, 12. Alice, 8. Tazwell, 5.
Cute little family. Unfortunately, his wife, Letitia, she died in 1844 at the White House. Folks, I said his wife, Letitia, died in 1844 at the White House. Oh! Tyler quickly remarried to Julia Gardner in 1844. She was 24. He was 54. And I'm going to let you guess the rest.
Gardy, 19.
Alex, 17.
Julia, 16.
Lachlan, 14.
Leon, 12. Robert, 9. Carol, 5.
Now, the problem wasn't their ages. That wasn't the problem at all. The problem was that his kids from the first wife were now older than their new mother. And they were none too pleased.
Caswell, 35.
Alice, 38. Elizabeth, 42. Letitia, 44.
John Jr., 46.
Robert, 49.
Mary, 50.
John Tyler kept enjoying himself and having children until he was 72 years old. Topped off at 14 kids, the most of any other president. And there he sits, one happy, tired man. Our most prolific president. Do you remember old James Buchanan? He was the president right before Mr. Lincoln. He had a good friend named Mr. William Rufus King. Old JB and William Rufus King would come into the Chestnut Saloon all the time. Now JB, he was a bachelor from way back. He was engaged once when he was 28 to Miss Ann Colby. But unfortunately, she was crazy. She was emotionally unstable, and actually, upon her death, her doctor wrote that she was the only woman he'd actually seen die from hysteria before. Well, JB came in here so much and palled around so much with William Rufus King that most folks thought the two of them were gay. That is the term you use today, isn't it? They used to call them Miss Nancy and Aunt Fancy. Sometimes they'd say, "Here comes Mr. Buchanan and his wife." Wasn't very nice. Neither was Buchanan. They say his administration was one of the most corrupt ever. Just one big, long whiskey party until our country began to fall apart.
In your hands, my dissatisfied fellow countrymen, and not in mine, lies the momentous issue of civil war. You have no oath registered in heaven to destroy the government, while I shall have the most solemn one to protect, preserve, and defend it.
Abraham Lincoln. He stood 6 feet 4 inches tall. He was a soft-spoken man. He was a melancholy, gloomy man. He was a homely man. But Horace Greeley said of him that he was not born king of men, but a child of the people who made himself into a great, great persuader.
It is rather for us to be here dedicated to that great task remaining before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to that which they gave that last full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these men did not die in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom, and that government of the people, for the people, and by the people, shall not perish from the world.
It is the night of April 14th, 1865. The place is Ford's Theater. The play is Tom Taylor's Our American Cousin. Right now, we are in Act 3, and we are midway into Scene 2.
You great affections, you do. Now I'm no fortune, but I am just filling over with affections that I am ready to pour all over you like applesauce over roast pork.
Mr. Trenchard, you will please recollect you are addressing my daughter, and in my presence.
Yes, I'm offering her my heart and my hand just as she wants them, with nothing in them.
Augusta, dear, to your room. Hey, Mom. You nasty beast! Oh! I'm aware, Mr. Trenchard, you are not used to the manners of good society, and that alone will excuse the impertinence of which you have been guilty.
Don't know the manners of a good society, eh? Well, I know enough that I'll turn you inside out, old gal. You soft, down, child, old man trap.
Sic semper tyrannis! The South is avenged!
It is the night of April 14th, 1865. Ford's Theater, and there is sadness in the American house. Jefferson Davis, former president of the Confederacy, said that next to the destruction of the Confederacy, the death of Abraham Lincoln was the darkest day that the South had ever faced. And so it comes down to this. One less person at the Thanksgiving dinner table, one empty chair. Well, I remember some folks, they came into the Chestnut Saloon on Thanksgiving, just local people to celebrate in 1865, 1917, 1945, 1950, 1969. I especially remember the fall of 2001. Thanksgiving of today, it seems there's always one vacant chair.
We shall meet, but we shall miss him. There
Well, moving on. Mr. Eagle. Well, in 1877, Rutherford B. Hayes was inaugurated as President of the United States after a close election. Actually, it was called the stolen election of 1876. But that sounds kind of familiar. Really familiar to you, huh? Well, Hayes' wife, Lucy, caused quite a sensation when she became First Lady. Why, she banned the serving of all alcoholic beverages at the White House. This did not go over too well. Actually, Lucy Hayes was quite a woman. She was the only First Lady thus far who had graduated from college. 100 years had gone by, and not one First Lady had been to college. Lucy was also fond of hand-painted china, and they say she painted some herself, and she began the annual Easter egg roll on the White House lawn. All right, Josephine, this is your big part. Here you go, darling.
Not a prohibitionist. You can't stop men from their drinking for good. Ever. When we began our stay at the White House, the first thing we had to do was host a dinner for these two Russian drinks. I argued about the wine and I lost. But I'm gonna tell you, I never lost that fight. There was no more alcohol in the White House whatsoever from that day on. While we were there anyway. Now, Ruthie took the blame, but I'm telling you it was me. I stopped the liquor, not my husband. Of course Ruthie wanted to keep in good with the temperance people. He'd say to me,
"They're all good Republicans. We need their votes."
I want to know right now how many of you out there are Republicans. Raise your hands, come on. Raise them. Oh, come on, we're all friends here. Raise them up. Raise your hands up. Don't be shy. Drink. Fibbers. Sammy, those awful Democrats. Anyway, we had this steward who wanted to give his special friends, mostly congressmen from New Jersey, a little secret treat. He made up this concoction known as Roman punch and flavored it with Jamaican rum. That's right. He flavored it with the taste of rum, but no alcohol. They used to call it the life-saving station. Little did they know that Ruthie and I made sure there was no alcohol in the juice. Well, I tried to stop the men from that awful spitting and smoking tobacco. Oh, what a foul habit. And profanity, too. Well, don't think we did much in the way of long-term abstinence.
But he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He loved animals, but hunting was his passion. He believed in the separation of races, and yet he broke bread with Booker T. Washington right in the White House. He loved to eat, too. For breakfast, 12 eggs. And these furry little fellas were named teddy bears in his honor. He also loved children. Loved his son. His son's name was Quentin. And I have to tell you, Quentin, though a fine-looking boy, was nothing but trouble. He had a group of friends. They were called the White House Gang. And they used to cause all kind of pranks and practical jokes and shenanigans. Now, TR would always have to catch them and admonish them and yell at them. But it seemed like most of the time, he just walked away laughing. Now, I remember the one time Quentin first learned how to make a spitball. Watch this. Washington, and unfortunately for this man, he wore a monocle. Well, once Quentin got a load of that, he was bound to have some fun with the gentleman. Now, another story of the White House as true as this, where is it? Oh, yeah, true as this raccoon here once lived, was the time that Elvis Presley himself, the king, wrote a letter to Richard Nixon asking the president if Elvis could be a special federal agent to combat drugs. You just can't make this stuff up.
Oh, really need to do this. Oh, imagine me, Elvis, federal agent. Like James Bond. I go with the kids and especially the hippies. And I can infiltrate their groups. They think that I was their man, but I'd really be the president's man. Oh, this could really work out. I can even carry my piece. All right, let's see. Here goes. Dear Mr. Nixon. Now, I better make that. Dear Mr. President. Let's see. First, I would like to introduce myself. like he doesn't know who I am. I'm Elvis Presley, and I admire you and have a great respect for your office. Now, let me think here. Can I get his attention? Yeah, Agnew, that's it. I talked to Vice President Agnew in Palm Springs 3 weeks ago and expressed my concern for my country. I better make that our country. The drug culture, the hippie elements, the Black Panthers, the SDS, they don't consider me their enemy, or as they call it, the establishment. Well, I call it America and I love it. Sir, I can and will do everything I can to be of any service I can for my country. Let's see, I better get that federal agent thing in there. I can and will do more good if I were made a special federal agent at large, and I will do it by helping out by doing it my way for my communications with people of all ages. First and foremost, I'm an entertainer, but all I need is those federal credentials. I'm staying at the Washington Hotel, room 505, 506, and 507. I have 2 men with me here, Jerry, by the name of Jerry Schilling and Sonny West. I'm registered under the name John Burroughs. I'm glad to help out just so long as it remains very private. I was nominated in the coming year as one of America's 10 most outstanding young men. I'm sending you a short biography of myself so you can better understand this approach. I would love to meet you and just say hello if you're not too busy. Respectfully, Elvis Presley. What else is there? Oh yeah, P.S. I have a personal gift for you which I would like to present you. You can accept it, or I can keep it until you can take it.
What? I've got to meet with who now? You know, I'm a very busy man. Guessing you're in here every 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. Well, tell Pat I'm going to be late again. Hey, Elvis, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you for 2 minutes. Nice to meet you.
Well, Elvis Presley and President Nixon had their meeting on December 21st, 1970. Elvis explained to the president that he could infiltrate the hippie groups, to which Nixon thought this might damage his credibility as an entertainer. When the meeting was over, though, Elvis told Nixon how much he supported him, and to Nixon's surprise, gave him a great big hug. Then, he presented Nixon with his special gift, a commemorative World War II pistol. I guess anyone could bring a gun into the White House in those days. President Nixon gave Elvis an honorary federal agent badge.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
If you want, if you go to Memphis, Tennessee in Graceland, you can see that badge on display. But lucky for all of us, with the badge came no no actual federal agent credentials. And it sure made one heck of a beautiful picture. Just these issues. Amy, Jimmy Carter's daughter, and Chelsea. Bill and Hillary Clinton's daughter. What we'd like for you to do now is imagine what it would be like if these two girls, as teenagers, got together in the White House right now.
Hi, I'm Amy. You guys are lucky out there. You can come and go and meet boys. Hi, are you Amy? Yes, you must be Chelsea. That's right, that's me. Hey, you have the same sick time in the White House like I did. Yeah, but what? Oh man, what are they? I have like no clue. They were here when I got here. Maybe they're like a friend of your dad's. Oh, I don't think so. Do you know my dad? Of course, silly. They know both of our dads. Don't you? Well, you don't know what it was like. I mean, you just don't. There was with Socks the cat. Whoop, whoop. I had Mr. Malarkey Ying Yang. Come on. Do any of you really know what it was like being trapped in that big old jail? Do ya? Huh? Do ya? No. Bet they don't. Why don't we tell them? Yeah. What an awful life for a kid. I wanna know what it's like to be a kid. Amy was home with the having on frisked. I wanna do what the other kids do, having a boyfriend or something that's new. Put it off away for a kid.
he was the only tailor ever to be elected president. Now, Warren G. Harding, no, not Warren G. Harding, James A. Garfield, that's what I want to talk about. James A. Garfield, he was a strange fella, a little bit unique. He would greet people all the time in this strange way. Sir, would you mind helping me for a minute just to demonstrate this? Stand up, please. Let's turn around to the seat. All right, great. Okay, I'll pretend that I'm James A. Garfield. You just say, "Hi, President Garfield," and I'll show you how to use the greet people. Hi, President Garfield. Okay, thank you. Sit down. He used to bark at people like a dog. I'm not making this up. Could you imagine if Bush or Kerry did this today? How many times did you see that on CNN? Well, let's talk about William Taft, number 27. Our larger-than-life president. Literally, the man weighed 332 pounds. You know what his favorite hobby was, though? Surfing. I could have seen that. Warren G. Harding, now this was a real nice fella. He joined the Ku Klux Klan. He gambled away White House china. And he spent most of his administration fishing. Let's see. Lyndon Johnson, number 36. One time he visited the Pope in Rome. Pope gave him a precious 14th century painting. He gave the Pope an autographed picture of Lyndon Johnson. It's true. Let's see who else. Richard Nixon, number 36, only president to visit all of our states. Ronald Reagan, number 40, only president divorced who was elected. And Grover Cleveland, you may not know this, number 22 and number 24. Only president to win 2 non-concurrent terms, and the only president to actually, personally hang a man. 2, in fact. True. Well, the White House itself has always stood firm. No matter how many people actually came and gone, how many people were actually working at home. Well, now, folks, we have something quite amazing for you. I would like to introduce to you now 9 presidents of the United States. May I present to you President Calvin Coolidge. President Harry S. Truman. President Richard Milhouse Nixon. President Lyndon Baines Johnson. President William Jefferson Clinton. Our current president, President George Walker Bush. Easy, boys, easy. Everybody loves President Jimmy Carter. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy. And President Abraham Lincoln. Gentlemen, you may be seated. Now, these great men will answer questions posed by you, the audience, with their own words as recorded by history. Now, these questions were given out, so I'm looking for question number 1. Who asked question number 1?
Oh, I did.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, sir. Why don't you begin?
First, so you say,
what an opportunity to stand in front of so many fantastic presidents here. Wow. My question is, how did it first feel to be elected president? I'd like to hear from Mr. Carter first, my personal favorite president.
Oh, well, thank you. I believe my very first thought upon election was, I hope you'll come see me. Don't leave me up there in that White House all by myself.
When we got into office, the thing that surprised me the most was to find that things were just as bad as we'd been saying they were.
As Harry Truman, I was not very much. But as President Truman, I had no equal.
Yeah, I guess it's my turn. Don't let the White House fool you. It's the crown jewel of the federal prison system.
I think the American people want a solid ass as the president. And I think I'll go along with it.
Back to me, huh? Being president's like running a cemetery. You got plenty of people underneath you, and nobody's listening to you.
Well, I think that being president is like being a jackass in a hailstorm. There's not much to do, but stand there and take it.
All right, interesting answers, gentlemen. Why don't we move on to question number 2? Who has question 2?
Hi, my name is Sheila. I live on Ocean View in Brielle. President Nixon, if you had it to do all over again, what would you do differently?
Well, first of all, let me make one thing perfectly clear. I enjoyed the job. I enjoyed it very much while I had it. If I had to do it all over again, I think I would have been a sports writer.
I'd like to add something to that. I think that if any president of the United States ever lied to the American people, he should resign. Oh, joke. But really, I love the job as being president of the United States. I don't think anyone's ever loved it as much as I have.
Thank you, President Clinton. Thank you. Question 3. Do we have question 3?
I'm here. Question 3.
All right, ma'am.
What are your views on the economy, and how can we fix the problems we are having today? And I'd like to begin with President Coolidge.
We must remember, the chief business of America is business.
Very important for you folks to understand. It's more trade, it's more commerce.
It's a recession when your neighbor loses his job. It's a depression when you lose your own.
And you know, capitalism sounds better than it works, while socialism, wait, I said that backwards. Capitalism works better than it sounds, while socialism sounds better than it works.
Very nice to say.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, you know, I found that there's a lot of evidence you can sell people on tax increases if they think it's an investment.
Taxes as an investment. All right. Thank you, President Clinton. Let's get on to number 4, all right? Is number 4 out there?
Question number 4.
All right, excellent.
There's been much rhetoric over the years concerning the president and his friends. What are some of your views regarding having and trusting friends while in the White House?
If you want a friend in Washington, get a dog.
Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friend?
And I just never wanted to be buddy-buddy with anybody, really.
Forgive your enemies, but never forget their names. All right, very good, gentlemen. Let's move on to question number 5. Do we have 5 anywhere?
That would be me.
Oh, excellent.
Mr. Carter, your family was often in the news. Could you comment on presidential families?
Yes, well, we've uncovered some embarrassing ancestors in the not-too-distant past. Some horse thieves and some people killed on Saturday nights. One of my relatives, unfortunately, was even in the newspaper business.
I'd just like to add on a personal note, the bad news is our only child is going to college. The good news is it opens up another bedroom.
Let's not go there, President Clinton, please. This is a PG-13 play we have going on here. How about we go on to the next question? I believe it's number 6, something nice. Nice question.
That leads us to question number 6, Mrs. Clinton. There's always been talk about sexual exploits in the White House.
Oh.
Now that you are out of office, dead, would you like to comment on that?
Now, I know I shouldn't say this, but I have looked at a lot of women with lust. I've committed adultery in my heart many times, but God recognizes I will do this and He forgives me.
I put a high mark on beauty. I can't stand an ugly woman around, or a fat one who looks like a cow that's going to step on her own udders.
A man who is not honorable in his marital relations is usually not honorable in any other.
I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell the American people this once and only once. I did not have sex.
Mr. Clinton, no matter how much cats fight, there always seem to be plenty of kittens.
Okay. Indeed, I did have a relationship with Miss Lewinsky. That was inappropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part, which I am completely and solely responsible.
If I am doting for a woman every 3 days or so, I get a terrible headache.
Well, I had more women by accident than Kennedy had on purpose.
Want to compare track records?
Bring out the list.
All right, gentlemen. Let's not go there, please. Let's just get right on to the next one. I think it's question 17.
17, I think we're only on question 8.
No, I think we were in question 7.
No, I believe it's question 10.
Gentlemen, I think we're on number 5.
It's okay, fellas. I've been taping it. We'll just play it back in this.
Not really good with math.
I think it's question 7. Question 7, are you on that for us? Okay, great.
Yes, we the people have always been curious as what you men thought of each other.
You know, people have said that my language has been bad, but Jesus, you should hear LBJ over here.
Man, do you realize the responsibility that I carry? I am the only man standing between Nixon and the White House.
With Nixon, you don't set a fox to watching the chickens just because he has a lot of experience in the hen house.
James K. Polk, a bewildered, confused, and miserably perplexed man.
That may be true, but I've got to say that our country would have done just as well not to have had Van Buren as a president.
Gerald Ford is so dumb, he can't fart and chew gum at the same time.
Richard Nixon is a no-good, lying bastard.
Oh, you better watch it, buddy. They still got that gun Elvis gave you.
But I'll tell you, that fellow Eisenhower, he don't know as much about politics as a pig knows about Sunday.
Don't always respect the guy, Clinton. You got my wife.
I did not have sex.
All right, gentlemen, enough of that. Let's just get off that topic, all right? Let's get right on to the next question. 8. Okay, go to that.
It's number 8.
I know. Thank you, President Bush. Thanks. Question 8, are you out there, please?
Question 8.
All right, thank you, sir.
My question has to do with your own interpretation of how you thought you did in your job as president. I'd like to start with President Truman, please.
If I hadn't been president, I probably would have been a piano player in a bawdy house.
I am not a crook.
I don't suppose there's any public figure who's ever been subject to more violent personal attacks than I have.
But you have to learn to survive defeat. That's what builds character.
I remember a good story when I hear it, but I never invented anything original. I'm only a retail dealer.
I was never popular. Without my glasses, I'm blind as a bat. As a matter of fact, I'm kind of a sissy.
I am a Southerner and an American. I'm a farmer and an engineer. A father and a husband. A Christian, a politician, a former governor, naval officer, a nuclear physicist, a canoeist, and, among other things, a lover of Bob Dylan songs and Dylan Thomas poetry.
You know, I would have made a good pope.
All right, let's get on to question number 9. Number 9. There we go.
Well, gentlemen, I've been selected to ask the final question of the evening. And I'd sort of like to make it sort of a free-for-all. Is there anything, gentlemen, anything at all, that you would like to say here tonight in the Jack Nicholson Theater?
I'd like to ask you a question, partner. Why do you come here and ask me, the leader of the Western world, a chicken shit?
You just watch your mouth.
I want to know why she asked the question.
Well, I'm sick of all the potty mouth from you and the cussing, LBJ. Let's just sit down, all right?
Well, I'd say most folks are about as happy as they make their minds up to be. You see, business will either be better or worse.
Whenever I go and make a bum decision, I usually go and make another.
Whenever I hear someone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried against him personally.
I mean, if you think about it, how far would Moses have gotten if they took a poll in Egypt?
The other thing we have to take seriously here is the problem of older men who prey on underage women.
Mr. Clinton, if you don't say anything at all, you won't be called upon to repeat it.
And in all my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice.
You can put wings on a pig, but you don't make it an eagle.
I have wanted to drown my troubles, but I can't get my wife to go swimming.
I don't want loyalty. I want him to kiss my butt in Macy's window at high noon and tell me it smells like roses.
I'm someone who has a deep personal attachment to Starsky and Hutch.
Never kick a fresh turd on a hot day.
If you have a mother-in-law with only one eye in the center of her forehead, you don't leave her in the living room.
This is all Preservation Month. I appreciate preservations. That's what you do when you run for president. Not preserve. And you know, fellas, really, when you think about it anyway, what was it, Watergate? Just a little bugging, right? No big deal.
When more and more people are out of work, unemployment results.
You know, human beings and fishes, we coexist peacefully.
Politics gives guys so much power that they tend to behave badly around women. And I hope I never get to that point.
For fatal shooting, there's 3 non-fatal shooting. America, this is just unacceptable.
I'm not lying either, by the way. I just said things that later on seemed to be untrue.
But I did not have sex.
Let us all remember, no man is good enough to be president, but somebody has to be.
And America is a great nation. Not because of what the government did for the people, but what the people did for themselves and for each other.
America was not built on fear. America was built on courage, on imagination, and an unbeatable determination
to do the job at hand.
We must understand, no enterprise can exist for itself alone. It ministers to some great need, performs some great service, not for itself, but for others.
Each citizen is responsible for loving the children he or she brings into this world, to love them, to teach them right from wrong. The heart of our children is the destiny of our country.
The promise of America is a simple promise. Everyone shall share in the blessings of this land.
We need a spirit of community, a sense that we are all in this together. If we have no sense of community, then the American dream will wither.
We become not a melting pot, but a beautiful mosaic. Different people, different beliefs, different yearnings, different hopes, different dreams.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history.
Of 1601 Pennsylvania Ave, beginning with the White House Gang, with solo dancer Jeff Eastman. Next, the young children of President John Tyler. The dance hall girl, Angela Pirelli. Morgan, played by Alexander Yee. Abigail Adams, Jennifer Peters. Charlie Madison, played by Katie Thomas and Melody Garcia. Senators Carl Jacobs and Kenny Jacobs from the President Jackson assassination scene. The wives of John Tyler, Evan Rich and Katie Muir. And the Tyler older children. The cast of Our American Cousin, Mrs. M, Katie Marichek, and Augusta, played by Krista Dewar. Lemonade Lucy, played by Claire Palmer. Amy Carter, played by Anna Klindworth. And Chelsea Clinton, played by Kaylee Erskine. And the backup singers, Karen Galinas, Sarah Rogers, and Jessica Van Houten. Miss Anna Lee Alden, singer from the Vacant Chair scene. And Mr. Charles Roberts as Elvis Presley. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States of America, President Andrew Jackson, played by Fred McKellar. President John Tyler, played by Mr. Elmer Archer. President Abraham Lincoln, played by Bob Abate. President Rutherford B. Hayes, played by Mr. Harvey Mallett. President Ray Roosevelt, played by Mr. Michael Lowry. President Calvin Coolidge, played by Mr. Christopher Burke. President Harry S. Truman, Mr. Kevin Higgins. President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, Mark Miskin. President Lyndon James Johnson,
played by Mr. Sean McKelvey. President Richard Milhouse Nixon, played by Mr. William Burns. President Jimmy Carter, Donald Burke. President William Jefferson Clinton, played by Mr. Steve Canning. And President George W. Bush, played by Mr. Thomas Glenn. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I present the proprietor of the Chestnut Saloon, Samuel. Thank you, Mr. Pappas. That's I do want to thank a few people. And first and foremost is very rarely do playwrights and writers get the opportunity to write for a particular person. And right from the beginning, Mr. Harvey and I talked about this. Everything that I did and wrote about and thought about was geared expressly for him. So I'd like to thank Harry for and I don't want to thank everybody in the world, but I do want to bring out a few people. And first and foremost is our costumer, Bridget Markerson. I'd like to thank the two girls who did the choreography for the ballet, Krista McCleary and Lauren Horn. But I must say, whether it was Cinderella last spring or whether it was 1601 Pennsylvania Ave, we've been, blessed with absolutely fantastic little kids. So please. I have to tell you, the first time Darcy came out on stage, and the first time she said, Darcy, and I said, no, you have to say Pearl and 5. And the rest of the kids were very quiet. And she came out and said, Pearl! 5! The people that work backstage, as you well know, because most of you have been here a ton of times, our managers, our house crew, stage crew, tech crew, makeup crew, production assistants, all those people, they're the people that make this whole thing roll. What you see on stage only happens because there's people backstage doing all the kind of the cool stuff. And I want to thank all of you, you know, backstage crews and managers and everything. Thank you very much. Most of you know these, some of the adults that work with us all the time. I don't want you to forget them. Mike Applegate, who does our rigging, and Bob Skokas, who isn't here tonight, who does our sound. Bob Dorr, who designed and built the bar for us. And I want to send a special message on home to our dear friend and our program chairman and our house manager for years now, John Burke, who's home recovering from some heart surgery. So please, a nice round of applause. Last night it was brought to my attention, a very interesting thing happened in the theater, and I think it's probably the first time in any show that I've ever done that this happened. We had in the auditorium last night 4 principals of Manasquan High School. Yeah. We had Harry Morris and Mrs. Morris, who were both principals at one time, and Mr. Osborne was here, and of course Carrie McCormick was here. So that was really something to actually have 4 principals in the audience. I want to say one more thing, and thank you for coming and applauding and the nice comments we've gotten about this. Writing a play is kind of fun. This one was not as hard as it looks. Every word, with the exception of a few, were the words that were actually spoken by the president and the people. I found letters, everything other than a few comments by Elvis and a few extemporaneous comments by the president was the original words that were spoken by all these people. And so it was arranging a few things. Of course, all right, I did write the Amy and Chelsea scene. There hasn't been a play that I've been involved in here since 1987, when I wrote the pageant for the town. And some of you who are old-timers can go back to 1987, when we did this giant pageant. We had over 200 people from the town participating in it. It was 2 hours long, and most of it was music with an orchestra and everything. And that was a killer. This one was pretty easy because I knew who I was writing it for, and I had the basic people in mind. But where we got into the help, and what is really nice about Manasquan, is look at the people in the community who have helped out and come out and been in this. Not just my former students, but there's a lot of people here from the community who have joined into the program, and teachers. And I really want to thank those people and all of you in the community who have come out and supported this and been part of this, because whether you believe it or not, we really do a lot of this for the community. The community in Manasquan area is very, very important to me. And that's why I try to include townspeople whenever we can in things like this. And I just feel very strongly that I gotta plug it, and I hope you don't hate me for it, but I put it on the back cover from the drama club. We need the referendum passed. And I hope that those of you who live in Manasquan will consider voting yes for it, because these little kids from Manasquan don't have a music room. They don't even have a place to perform in the elementary school. And I'm a little selfish. I'm looking at this from the standpoint of the arts. We need that for the arts. So I hope that maybe some of you who are teetering on the edge, like the presidential election, you're not sure which way you're going. I hope watching these kids tonight maybe will help you, point you in the right direction. And the other thing is, without electioneering, the reason that we did it this year is because of the presidential election. We're a very lucky country. You know that. We see it on the news every night. And I hope that you all, get out and express your opinions and vote and do what you can for the United States. It's a good place. It's a great place. And it's because of all of you and I guess all of us. So thank you very much.